Hi, welcome to Coach Barnabas. It's Corey. It's episode 102 of the Coach Barnabas podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to share with you a parable from the book of Matthew, chapter 21, where Jesus is speaking to religious leaders. And when you understand the story, that's kind of an important fact. He's not speaking to people who don't know him, who reject him. He's speaking to quote-unquote religious leaders, the religious elite of the day. And the parable is of a man with two sons, and the man goes to the first son and tells him to go out and work in the vineyard. And the son says he will not, but later changes his mind and goes out and works in the vineyard. Meanwhile, the father goes to the second son and tells him to go out and work in the vineyard as well. And this son says, sure, I'll do that, but then ultimately does not. Jesus then turns to the religious leaders, the religious elite, and says, which one of these two sons did the will of the Father? He was telling the religious elite this is because they were rejecting John the Baptist. They're rejecting a lot of things. And Jesus tells them that it is more likely that a prostitute or tax collectors will enter the kingdom of heaven because they believe. That's the thing about religion. It's rituals and man-made legalism that fuels religion, where Jesus was more about the relationship, more about simply forgiving sins by just believing. I talked about it in episode 101, talking about pistuo, believing in, putting faith in, not just simply believing that, but believing in, putting your faith in that the religious leaders, that's not what they did. They just kept setting up more and more ritual, more and more legalism, so they could basically control the people. That's what they were all about. And Jesus called them on it and said, which one is the one who ultimately honored the will of their Father? So, I mean, the message of that is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. The one son said he wouldn't, but ultimately did the will of the Father. The second son said he would and ended up not doing the will of his Father. Now, I want to kind of pivot and give you a more contemporary story about another father and son. The father's name is Ike Brown. He is a 40-year veteran of law enforcement, of the sheriff. He's a sheriff deputy in the city of Jacksonville, Florida. In 2002, his oldest son, who also was named Ike, so he was Ike Brown Jr., was murdered. He and his best friend were simply playing video games at another friend's house. And another party who was a casual acquaintance of them inexplicably came in and shot multiple people, killing Ike Jr. and his best friend. Now, Ike Sr., being a law enforcement officer, and I can relate because my dad was a cop in San Francisco, California for a number of years, decades, cops have a particular mindset about justice. And Ike Sr., no different, always had a mindset of, if you do anything to my children, I'm going to hate you. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that you meet the ultimate injustice. And, that's pretty typical, I think, of any parent, I would say, but particularly law enforcement. That's what they do, is they are arranging for offenders to meet justice in whatever way that may end up looking. It's not their job to necessarily impose that justice, but to make sure they face justice. Now, skip ahead to a couple years later when the trial happens, and Ike Sr., again, with this mindset that he is just prepared to hate the man who killed his son senselessly, sees the man, the accused shooter, walk into the room, and instead of hatred, he has nothing but love. His heart is filled with love and compassion for this young man, the shooter. And now his whole mindset is shifted. He doesn't know why. He didn't expect this. He wasn't planning for this. He wasn't praying for it. But God had filled his heart with love and compassion. Ultimately, the young man was sentenced to multiple life sentences, where he would obviously spend the rest of his life in prison for what he had done in that day in 2002. Fast forward now a few more years after the sentencing, this young man is now in prison, serving the very beginning of a very long sentence. because he was in his early 20s as well. Ike Sr. then gets the feeling he wants to write a letter to the shooter. His name, Takoya, is the name of the shooter. And he starts to write a letter, finishes it, and then wads it up and throws it away. He's not sure even what he wants to say, but he wants to basically just tell him he's praying for him and thinking of him. But every time he would write a letter, he just would wad it up and throw it away. Finally, he said, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to send it before I have a chance to change my mind. And in the close of the letter, he obviously opens it with saying, I hope things are going as well as they can be. I want you to know I'm praying for you and thinking of you. I want what's best for you. I forgive you. But he closes the letter by saying, I want you to think about this. I want you to basically fill in for my son. I no longer have my son. I want you to fill in for him. It's an invitation. So he just sticks that thing in the mail before he has a chance to change his mind, and then he's expecting he might not get any response, or if he does get a response, he may get something filled with, cursing him, anger, just refusal to, I don't want any part of you. He's kind of prepared for that. Instead, he opens the letter. He's actually in his police cruiser, his police squad car, and he reads the letter. And the letter basically is a very humble and apologetic letter. The young man responds and says, I am not qualified to fill in for your son. But if you will have me, then from this day on, you'll be my dad and I will be your son. Ike Sr. stayed true to that. He's visited him in prison and embraced him and welcomed him as his own. And Ike Jr. in that letter said that I had been praying that if God were real, if God really loved him, then the father of the man he killed would reach out to him and show love and forgiveness. And that's exactly what Ike Sr. did. And Takoya, true to his word, turned his life over to God, humbly accepting both the forgiveness of Ike Sr., the father of the murdered boy, and the mercy and forgiveness of the Father, the Heavenly Father, God. And I just think what a powerful image of that kind of sacrificial love that defies all logic, all human nature. Our nature wants revenge, not so much justice, especially when we're talking about the unfortunate, unnecessary death of a child. Wanted to share that with you, and no matter where you've been, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. God's mercy is so much greater than the greatest sin of your life. Whatever the worst moment of your life that changed your entire life is not too big, too great, too unforgivable for the grace of Jesus. I want to leave you with that. I want to encourage you with that. Guilt is a powerful thing, and maybe you're carrying that and you feel like you are too bad, too evil, too far gone to receive the grace of God, and you're not. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be encouraged. Be an encourager. Lord willing, I look forward to talking again very soon. Take care.